Peppa Pig and the Ripe Apple Tree. Peppa spots the apple tree, heavy with ripe red apples. She bounces up and down, reaching as high as she can, but the apples sway teasingly above her, just out of reach. George grabs the tree trunk and shakes it with all his strength. A few apples tumble down with a satisfying thud, but instead of landing in their hands, the apples roll, roll, roll far away. Peppa and George scramble after them, completely out of breath. Exhausted, the two sit under the tree, ready to give up. Suddenly, a gust of wind shakes the branches. One shiny apple drops straight down, rolling right to Peppa's feet. George picks it up proudly, holding it like treasure. Peppa giggles. The two share the apple, munching happily under the tree. Peppa Pig and the Mysterious Footprints. Peppa and George are running and playing when Peppa suddenly stops and looks down at the ground. On the grass, small round footprints appear, forming a line. George curiously bends down to take a closer look, his eyes wide with wonder. Daddy Pig is watering the plants nearby and hasn't noticed yet. Peppa signals to George, and the two of them follow the footprints. Mummy Pig appears, holding a basket, and smiles when she sees the two children crouching down. The footprints lead to a small puddle in the garden. Peppa and George look around, feeling a little surprised. Peppa and George look down, then look at Daddy Pig. Peppa realizes the footprints are Daddy Pig's, from when he watered the garden earlier. It ends with Peppa and George laughing happily. Peppa Pig in the flower basket. The garden in front of Peppa's house, with gentle sunshine. A small basket is placed on the grass. Peppa bends down to look at the basket and smiles. George stands beside her, curiously looking into the basket. Peppa gently picks a flower nearby. Peppa places the flower into the basket. George points to another flower. Peppa and George pick a few more small flowers. The flower basket slowly fills up. Peppa sits down and admires the flower basket. George giggles. Mommy Pig stands nearby, and all three are happy together. Peppa and George are playing with a balloon in the park. A strong gust of wind blows the balloon up into the sky. Peppa looks up at the balloon, startled. George points at the sky, following the balloon with his eyes. Peppa and Daddy Pig start running after the balloon, trying to keep up as it flies higher. Peppa and Daddy Pig run across the grassy field, their legs moving quickly. George runs behind, watching the balloon and smiling. Peppa and Daddy Pig spot the balloon caught in a tree branch. Peppa points at the tree, excited to see the balloon. Daddy Pig uses a long stick to try and reach the balloon from the tree. Peppa hops around happily. Peppa and Daddy Pig are happy to have rescued the balloon. Peppa holds the balloon in her hands, smiling. George jumps up joyfully. The pig family sits down together and continues to play in the park. One clear morning, you and I were still fast asleep. Suddenly, a friend showed up and knocked on the door. Our close friend smiled and said, "Let's go for a walk, you two." Suddenly, a mysterious object began to leap. It turned the white rabbit pink. Hey! Luckily, the strange object managed to retrieve the leaking item just in time. One beautiful morning, the sun was soft and the breeze was cool. In the living room, the two sisters were chatting happily. "Let's go outside and play," they said together. They ran quickly into the pine forest near their home. Tall green trees swayed gently in the wind, making a soft rustling sound. Suddenly, a magical gust of wind swept past them. Whoosh! The wind gently lifted the two sisters up into the sky. They flew over the green pine forest and then glided past their own house below. Laughing joyfully, they stretched out their arms and happily enjoyed the cool, refreshing breeze around them. It was a truly magical and joyful flight. Peppa Pig and the Ripe Apple Tree. Peppa spots the apple tree, heavy with ripe red apples. She bounces up and down, reaching as high as she can, but the apples sway teasingly above her, just out of reach. George grabs the tree trunk and shakes it with all his strength. A few apples tumble down with a satisfying thud, but instead of landing in their hands, the apples roll, roll, roll far away. Peppa and George scramble after them, completely out of breath. Exhausted, the two sit under the tree, ready to give up. Suddenly, a gust of wind shakes the branches. One shiny apple drops straight down, rolling right to Peppa's feet. George picks it up proudly, holding it like treasure. Peppa giggles. The two share the apple, munching happily under the tree. The giant tire.
Yay!
Today, Peppa and her family discover something surprising in the backyard. A giant tire. The tire is so big that everyone has to look up. It's like a tall, round tower. Peppa and George are so excited. They run around the tire, jump up and down, and giggle happily.
Huh?
Daddy Pig gives it a little push, and the tire starts to roll. Oh no! Now the giant tire is rolling across the garden, and everyone laughs as they run after it. At last, the tire stops and turns into the perfect place for Peppa and George to play. What a funny and exciting adventure!
Ah.
2 hours later.
The Mysterious Gift Box. Today, Peppa and George discover a pretty gift box sitting in front of their house. The box is tied with a shiny red ribbon. Peppa and George are very curious. But who could have left it there? Peppa gently taps the box. Oh, it wobbles as if something inside is dancing. George decides to sit on the box, but then it makes a funny boink, boink, boink sound, and they both burst out laughing. Suddenly, the ribbon comes loose, the lid pops open, and inside, not toys, not sweets, but a bunch of colorful balloons that float up into the sky. Peppa and George happily chase after the balloons, giggling all around the garden. What a wonderful surprise from the mysterious gift box! Hey! Hey! Huh? Aha! Hooray! Yahoo! Wow! Whoa! Whoa! Wow! Peppa and the Little Picnic. Peppa holds a small basket and looks around the grass. Peppa spreads the picnic blanket on the ground. George runs over, carrying a toy food box. Peppa smiles happily. Peppa sits down and puts the food on the blanket. Peppa pretends to eat and nods happily. George copies her and pretends to eat too. They both laugh together. Peppa lies on her back and looks up at the sky. George lies down next to Peppa. They watch the clouds slowly drifting by. Peppa and George smile and relax. Peppa and the leaf on her head. Peppa walks slowly in the garden. A leaf falls down from above. The leaf gently lands on Peppa's head. Peppa doesn't notice and keeps walking. Peppa stops and looks around. The leaf on the head gently wiggles in the breeze. George runs over and looks at Peppa's head. George points and giggles. Peppa reaches up to her head but can't quite reach it. The leaf falls into Peppa's hand. A gentle breeze blows. The leaf blows away from Peppa's hand. Peppa and George watch it fly away and smile. The leaf swirls gently and falls to the ground. Peppa picks up the leaf and places it on George's head. George stays still for a moment, then smiles. Peppa laughs happily. Whoa! Aha! Whoa!